welcome Ted Brinker.
Am I in the wrong room? Morning, fellow Toastmasters and our most honored guests. Have you ever wondered that when you've given presentations? Has your boss ever called upon you to present an hour presentation only to walk into, especially at a conference center, walk into the wrong room? I did that a few years ago in the military. I walked into a room of ladies who were discussing Avon tips. It's important to know your audience, especially in situations that are critical and crucial to your message. This is from the Better Speaker Series. For our guests, the Better Speaker Series is an advanced series of presentations that have one key component. Today, it's knowing your audience. Jenny could relate with this, because Jenny, our resident concert goer, especially in the last few weeks. Madonna, who else, Jenny?
That was the only one recently. That was the big one, Madonna.
Madonna. So I'm sure her crowd and her audience probably looked like that. My audience. This is taken from September of last year at the U.S. Business Leadership Network for the Disability Inclusion Conference that I had the honor and privilege to attend, and was only 23 of 73 attendees that were invited to attend. In this audience, there was over 600 CEOs and organizational leaders who talked about all of the components for disability inclusion. Now, this was held in Orlando, Florida at the Radisson. If you look, you'll notice that everybody in the audience is dressed either business or business casual. Now, imagine this if they were presenting to an audience like that. Jeans, t-shirts, the strong scent of illegal substances in the air, maybe the winds of fine tequila on people's mouths. So it's important to really know your audience when you give the right message. In this situation, the promoters and the message was music. Here, it was an important message to share the importance that every organization needs to implement disability inclusion in their workplace for their workers. We want to look at some audience variables. Age range. Here, we're 19 to 65. In other audiences, for kindergarten, Mr. Cross, you presented to kindergartners, you're looking at 4 and 5-year-olds. Male and female ratio. We are about 50-50, maybe 40-60 in here. But what if, like in the beginning, that I had walked into a room full of ladies and wanted to talk about this past weekend's M-Loss. Now, some in the audience would enjoy that. But what if I was presenting the importance of winning and team attitude? Maybe the audience wouldn't receive my messages clearly. Economic status. Now, I personally wouldn't want to walk into a room of individuals who are financially challenged and talk about how to purchase $1 million of life insurance today for $1 million. Educational background. What I've learned in my education of attending Eastern Michigan in communication fields is that how you communicate your message and the audience that receives it is important. Would I communicate how to join Toastmasters to a group of NASCAR fans on a NASCAR bus at MIS in June? Perhaps. Not the greatest environment because there's other activities that distract that message. So it's important to keep the audience's attention. The room acoustics. Obviously at MIS, doing this presentation, I would have to really scream to get my message across because there's cars out on the track going 195 miles an hour for 200 laps. Seating. Would I invite all of you, plus all of them, to sit on this little bus? No. I would have to have a select audience. Lighting. Inside that bus, and I've been in a few of them over the years, it's quite dark. Quite unique and decorated for lighting. But lighting is important. Because as all of you create notes right now, if there was no lights in this room, it would be difficult for you to see what you're writing. Temperature. For me, it's a little warm in here. For others, it might be a little cool. But understanding the temperature in a room will either make your audience uncomfortable or comfortable. Now I can turn it right down to 50 degrees, or I can crank it up to 140 degrees. How would you receive that message? Distractions. As mentioned, MIS is not the greatest audience to do presentations unless you're the announcer giving a play-by-play of Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon battling out on the final lap, banging and bumping, sliding, and everything else. Keeping your audience's attention. How many in this room believe that the middle of the day, which is actually considered 2 p.m., is the greatest time to present the importance of anything? How many believe at 10 a.m. is a better time? Why is that? Are you more alert? For some who are not morning people anymore, including myself, trying to get me to understand something at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning is a little more difficult than getting me to understand it at noon or 1 o'clock. Now, if you eat a healthy meal, that's one of the factors that you are more distracted at 2 p.m. because that food is sunk in. It's the end of the day for most of you. So the message and how you interpret that message will not be clearly understood, or could not. Activities. Some of our members have been called away at the last minute for an unexpected meeting or an ethics training. They didn't expect that, but that affects their day. And breaks for lengthy presentations. Did you know that for every 20 minutes you take a break, you are more apt to retain more of the information that was shared? How many of you sat in a room for 3 hours where the talker just goes on and on and on, and an hour in you're like, okay already, we get the point? How you approach your audience. Now, if we were talking about interpersonal communication and the 18-inch rule, do you think that would violate my message? Publication. Toastmasters puts out a monthly publication. numerous organizations. Maybe Team One has a publication or a plastics publication. The message in that publication is important to people like Craig because he is educated by the knowledge that's shared from other authors. In Toastmasters, Maureen Zappala, who we've had here in Michigan numerous times, her message is on contests. In a couple of weeks, we in the Toastmaster world will crown a humorous speaking contestant and a table topics or impromptu speaking contestant who have figured through numerous competition levels, both from the club, the area, and the division to get to that point. Knowing who to contact. If you're going to present a 2-hour workshop, go to the local officers. If I wanted to come into Consumers Energy, I would ask Consumer Energy employees in this room currently, who is the best person? Because how many times do we get the runaround when we get, well, I'll have to talk to this person, or I'll have to get back to you. Oh, no, it's supposed to be Mary. No, it's supposed to be Beth from accounting. No. It's important to really know who you need to get in contact with to set up presentations. If there's other presenters, talk with them. Maybe you have a common theme on your message. Maybe you can collaborate and share from each other the strengths and weaknesses that you've learned doing other presentations that might help you give a stronger presentation. At Toastmasters, every conference, all of the educational presenters, and Jan and Craig are two of our finest in this room that can attest, knowing the message and knowing their audience was crucial to that Sunday morning back in May at the Holiday Inn. They had an important message to share. Now, if that message or that audience would have been a group of beer drinkers, they would have interpreted the wrong title in the IPA. However, Craig and Jan clearly explained that meant something different. Some common speech objectives. Fulfilling your audience's goals. You want to make sure you're informing them. If Craig was going to lay off 25% of his workforce in his company, I think it would behoove him to inform them. How he informs them? There's multiple avenues to go down there. Inspire. Each of us have the ability to share and inspire our message to others. Persuade. The action I want for you to take from all of this is the next time you set your presentation up, make sure your message and your audience coincide together. I wouldn't come in here and try to explain how to repair a car if none of you understood the mechanics of a car. Most of all, entertain. Because every presentation needs to be fun, needs to be filled with good humor, and most of all, it's important to be speaker friendly and have key people like this who splash love and joy in their audience, who are actually rocket scientists and are very successful in helping people reach out to an audience. So next time, make sure you don't do like in the beginning, am I in the wrong room? And I'm Toastmaster.